Hello, and welcome to Writers Group Therapy.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Roshni. We're writers helping writers with whatever writing ailments you might have.
Whether it's related to your craft or your career, we can help.
Are you ready for your session?
The doctors are in. Happy New Year, Roshni.
Oh my gosh, 2025 already. And I'm already tired. Oh my word.
And it feels like it just has never stopped. Yes, we mark the beginning of a new year, but it's just an ongoing race to the bottom, it seems.
It's dragging. It's so weird. It's like nothing is happening because everything is happening and nothing's been resolved. So here we are.
It kind of reminds me of the days when we had normal television, seasons and pilot seasons and all that kind of stuff. You had predictability. You had your own like annual clock that made things work. And now it feels like everything's just it's like the big snowball that started at the top of the hill and it just keeps getting bigger and going faster and eventually it's going to crash.
Oh gosh, I don't want to know what'll happen when it does, but we should probably clue our listeners in on exactly what we're talking about.
At the time of recording this, what the voiceover artists are still striking, correct?
SAG VO is still on strike. Yes, union voiceover actors are still on strike. That has been going on since the end of July 2024.
So that doesn't affect writers as much, except, if you're an animation, obviously you can't, finish anything with your SAG artists.
Well, okay, so let's clarify that a little bit. It's mostly interactive, which is video games, and they're really only going after, I think it's like 10 to 12 of the big dogs that have yet to sign signatories. And again, also, I will just start this by saying, go look it up because there's people who are way more knowledgeable about it than I am. But they're basically going after certain big companies that have yet to sign AI protections for the voiceover actors. That being said, so I mean, obviously, like if you're writing a cartoon or something, it doesn't really affect you unless your company has not, but it's mostly interactive. And that also does affect writers a little bit because even if you have a project, you can't advertise it. If I think if it happened pre-strike, you're okay, but it's kind of nebulous about what's happening now, and I don't even know.
And that all depends what the WGA tells their writers to do, because they're, kind of supporting each other, the different guilds.
Yeah. It's weird because it's been going on. I mean, how long was the writers/actors one? That was a little under a year, right?
It was like 9 months, yeah.
Yeah. So this is coming up about as long, but this one is so much quieter. It's like there was a big splash when it first started, and it's still happening. People are still picketing, and yet it's so under the radar now.
Well, I think if you're an interactive, especially video games, your business model is outside, the production of, content like TV and movies. So you have a different structure of how you run your business. Maybe you don't have video games have a much longer, development time too. So there's a lot more waiting that can go on.
I don't think that's it, honestly. Sorry to
no, that's okay.
Have to jump in here and be like, no, I think why it's so quiet is, first of all, there's less VO striking than like on camera. And I think Hollywood got fatigued. The world got fatigued from the writer's strike and the actor's strike. And that was, again, on camera. And the on camera people, because you see their faces, it's sexier. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you're more aware of them. You're more like, oh, yeah, like my favorite movie isn't coming to the theater. Whereas, I mean, you can have a video game without VO.
Yeah.
It adds to it, but you don't, it doesn't necessarily need to have it. And again, like, unless you really are in that world and you follow them and you know who the actors are behind your favorite characters, you don't, it's not as, I mean, really, it's not as visible because you're not on camera. And so it's just kind of like the quieter, stepchild, I guess, or
Yeah.
something.
That's basically what I was saying, but you said it much better than I did. Yeah, I still have games that I currently play that it's very awkward sometimes because there'll be some dialogue that's recorded and some dialogue that's just text on screen. It's like
Mhm.
some of the characters have gone mute all of a sudden.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of I feel like there's so many factors, but also because just the timing of it, because AAA gaming has been imploding anyway, like, there's been a lot of layoffs and a lot of issues and a lot of unhappy gamers with these big games that, like, if this was, like,
Hmm.
4 years ago, people might be like, "Oh my gosh, what do you mean?" But because the average person is already upset with the AAA gaming world, I don't think they're noticing that their favorite VO people are on strike. They're too busy like, "Oh, I'll just play this older game," or, "Oh,
Hmm.
whatever, I'm just gonna boycott insert triple A gaming studio name here anyway because I think your games suck." You know what I mean? Their animosity, there's none left to support the VO people, if that makes sense. That's
Hmm.
at least my take on it, but it's just bad
Hmm.
timing for the strike.
And it really does affect all of us though, because the big sticking point with them is still AI protections,
Mhm.
especially in voiceover, because the voiceover tools the AI is the AI voiceover tools are getting to be pretty interesting. It used to be the old robotic sounding voice, but now it's hard to tell them away apart from a real person. So,
Yeah, again, if you're interested in learning more about the strike, there's people out there who've covered it way better that are more knowledgeable. So I'd say look it up, go on the SAG-AFTRA's website, read like some of the trades about it. Um, I will admit because I've been so focused on my books and on other projects that I've sort of had my head in the sand about a lot of it. So I pay attention because I am still, at the end of the day, a voiceover artist, but I'm not as well versed in, like, the nuances as I probably should be,
hmm,
and I'll be honest about that?
yeah. So otherwise, the AI thing, also is playing out big time in filmmaking and television right now. And I have been like, I've been trying to keep up with it, but again, the snowball effect is going on here. It seems like every couple weeks there's a new AI video or image tool that's being released. I've got a list of a dozen of them that I've been looking at, and I think there's a little bit of overselling going on. There's one tool that I was trying out, Hypernatural, that says it can make these AI videos, but in some ways it's just automating making like social media type stuff. They're
Yeah, I've seen those, yeah, where, like, it opens your eyes up or it, like, brightens the room or something, makes the
Yeah,
photo look a little bit nicer, yeah.
but also, I mean, what it says are quote unquote videos are really a bunch of still images with some, you know, Ken Burns effect and putting your captions on for you. So there's AI assistance in as part as picking the images, helping you write the script, putting it all together. But it's not really like you're not, people who say they're making AI movies, I don't really see anything coming out from AI like beginning to end, even short films that look anything like a movie. They're all these weird little collections of clips. There's a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of these, um, kind of like top 20 type things, whatever. Um, I feel like they're using AI to generate the script and then generate the images and then edit it all together. But it's not like it's a narrative. It's not a story. It's constructing pieces and parts using AI.
Yeah, I mean, I still like, whenever I hear an AI voice on a YouTube video, I click off because I still don't like that uncanny valley feeling. I get that they're sounding better, that they're looking better and stuff like that, but you can still tell, you know what I mean, that there's something weird about it, and it makes me kind of think of, and forgive me if I'm wrong on this because I don't exactly remember where I heard this, but there was something about, uh, apparently, like, in a Persian rug, which are, like, handmade, apparently there's always like a very minor flaw in a Persian rug because only Allah can be perfect. And so the makers deliberately put a little flaw.
Mm.
And it makes me think of that. Like, we kind of, it's funny, I think humans crave perfection, but we don't like it when we're confronted with it. Does that make sense? This is getting a bit deep and philosophical, I know, but we're not.
Yeah.
So, like, you kind of know when you're like, that. How do I explain this? You can tell if a vocalist is an amazing singer or like if someone's really beautiful, like a model or something. But even then, maybe like they're just a little not quite symmetrical, or like, when they sing, they breathe in a funny spot or something, just something to make them human. It's those flaws that like we still like, even though we can also say that they're really talented. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if it's not, yeah, the humanity doesn't um, like something that's too perfect because it's almost like watching CGI movies. You used to be that you used to think, wow, that's so cool because it looks so real. But then as things got better, then the stuff that used to be cool doesn't look as real. You know what I'm saying? It's like, um,
That's why people prefer practical effects.
exactly,
You know what I
miniatures
mean?
and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the trying to recreate like explosions with CG is nothing like you doing the real thing. Seeing
Yeah,
somebody fly across the room and dirt and dust and everything.
that's why they say, like,
It's
older movies, like,
visceral.
say, Jurassic Park or something, hold up more than, like, a current movie with a lot of, special effects and CGI because even though it was just, like, sets and stuff, miniatures built by human hands, so it's probably not quote unquote "perfect," but it's pretty darn close. That's what it is. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I just think, like, we crave perfection, but when we get it, we don't actually like it.
Disney would say that they like perfection because they're having a good year. They scored a bunch of billion-dollar movies this year with Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Moana 2, among others, getting close to that. So I think, the post-COVID theatrical slump is over, at least in some respects.
Maybe, maybe. I think the big box office contenders from, the winter, Wicked, which was practical effects, and Moana 2, which was actually supposed to be a TV show, and a lot of the reviews I've heard say that, where they're like, but I wonder if it's just kinda trading on the strength of the name.
Well, I mean, it's still doing great at the box office, but at the same time, I wouldn't put it past Disney to go ahead and just do a series next.
Is there any other family film competition, though?
Not a lot out there.
Yeah.
There was the what's it called? Despicable Me is from Universal.
There was another Despicable Me?
Yeah, there was a number 4.
Oh my gosh, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, like, I didn't even know that there was other stuff, happening.
Yeah, not a lot though. I mean, there's that, and then there's probably a lot of smaller pieces out there. But a lot of people were talking about how like Disney has flops. All of Disney's movies are flops. It's not true. Yeah, they had a few flops, but I think overall they're pretty happy with how things have gone.
To be fair, they own a lot of the market share, so I think
Exactly.
if they have a flop or 2, they won't feel it.
Yeah.
They own a lot of properties, yeah.
Yeah. It's weird though, because some of those big blockbusters or sequels and things, you know, they're kind of an expectation that they're going to do good, but then like something like the Joker, that flopped. The Joker sequel, you know, was one of the biggest flops of the year. Kevin Costner had a flop. These big names that people thought were going to be huge. We were talking about video games earlier. Borderlands had a video game or had a movie
Oh, the movie
adaptation.
adaptation, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
did like $30 million, and that was it.
It is hard to adapt a video game or board game to the screen. It
Yeah.
really is, and, like, kudos to, I think was Dungeons gosh, I feel so, like, out of it. Dungeons& and Dragons was this year, right? No, it was last year.
It was either really early 2024 or or late 2023. I don't remember.
It was spring. So you know what? I think it was a year ago. See, this is how out of it I am. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I've just been kind of keeping my head down and like just plowing through other stuff. That was probably the first time they've ever successfully adapted that palatably. I mean, there was a
Hmm.
cartoon show of that property, but in general, like I have watched a lot of like video game adaptations and like it's tough. It is really tough. I don't know. There was one for Dungeon Siege, which I used to play a lot, and I was like I watched the movie and I'm like, "I can't." After, like, 30 minutes, I'm like, "I just can't anymore." I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. You'd think that, like, because there's a narrative already in a video game, it'd be easy to adapt, but it's not.
Did you watch Fallout? I don't know if you. I can't remember what streamer
No,
that was on. Was
but
that
I've
on
also
Amazon?
never played it. Oh, you know what? I take that back. Last of Us. I know I haven't seen that one, I haven't
Hmm.
played it, but I know people really liked that one, so I do take
Yeah,
that so that
they
one is
had
also more
season
recent.
2 this
Yeah,
year or last year, and then
yeah.
Fallout. I liked Fallout a lot. I thought it was great. That was an Amazon show, actually.
Mhm. And
That
Witcher
did
was
really
good too,
well.
but to be fair, that was a book series first. I
Mm,
think I think it was book and then video game and then TV show. I think that's the order it went in.
hmm.
But the books had been out for a long time.
Well, it's been interesting, that's for sure.
Speaking of, though, Animation Guild signed to their contracts with AI
Mm,
protections.
yes. And that's important because I think animation's where a lot of the AI is targeting. I mean, it's it's
Art
hard to,
in general,
in
yeah.
the art side. Yeah, it's hard to, like we talked about, create real life things, in AI, but that's getting a lot better. But creating animation, should be relatively straightforward. So, I mean, basically what's been going on for decades with animation is, the digitization of animation and automation through, I used Macromedia Director ages ago, when you would set up your character and then you move the character and it would create all the frames in between. So it was basically a computer creating animation already. And then that just kind of grew into the modern animation method. So now
Mhm.
it's about creating the content of the animation. So they automated the creation of the physical animation. Now they're creating the content that goes into the animation. That's just kind of a continuation, I think. But the artists still have to, are still creating the artwork. And like we always talk about, it's like, where are they getting the AI models getting their artwork to generate their generative AI? So,
Yeah. Yeah,
hmm.
and actually, so as of this recording, this is something we talked about off podcast, but apparently a lot of small businesses are upset with Google over claiming that the algorithm has sort of killed website traffic to their websites. And so they're noticing, like certain bloggers or certain mom and pops are noticing traffic way, way down. Some having to shutter their doors or really rethink their business strategies. And I was even, we were talking about this, the executive summary that you get when you do a Google search, right? At the top
Hmm.
now, I'm sure people have noticed that where you're like, hey, I want to look for, a good brunch place near me or something, and they do these little like executive summaries or whatever. Or like I was saying, how to splint my finger because my finger has been injured, so I had to figure out how to splint it. And it gives you an executive
When did
summary, which
that
is
happen?
I don't know. I think I slept on it wrong, but like
Oh,
I was had to scramble to find a
sorry,
splint.
that's news to me. Sorry.
No,
Anyway,
it's okay, it's okay. It's just annoying because 'cause I'm trying to, like, finish my novel, and I'm, like, trying to type.
typing is
You
not
don't even
easy with this.
realize yeah, how much you need these fingers, and you're like, "Crap," so what do you do?
You need like AI dictation for your writing.
Oh, golly, no, no, I'm good, I'm good. I'd rather just peck at the keyboard.
That's why you haven't sent me book 7 yet.
Not yet, I'm getting close. I think, to be fair, most of my books, end around 80K. This is probably gonna end up being, like, 95 to 100K.
Wow.
So, a little bit longer than normal. Sorry
Oh,
about
I'll have
that.
to set aside more time to get.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But, where were we in the conversation? Oh, yeah. So, the, small businesses are upset, and rightly so, because, it's changing, advertising, and
Mhm.
searching on for people's, stuff. And I find it interesting because, so many people AI, I mean, we've had AI for a long time, not necessarily generative AI, but AI in general to help us. And I think it's kind of funny that, like, in entertainment, we were very vocal about it because we could see the writing on the wall for how it would hurt artists, creatives, etc. And it always hurt my heart to see the comments. People would be like, "Oh, you spoiled Hollywood people. Now you're getting your comeuppance. Blah 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 blah." And I'm
Mm,
like, "Yeah, but
yeah.
we're not all A-listers. Like we're working crew. We're, working actors making, not six figures trying to do what we love in a tough city. It makes a difference." And now it's affecting, you know, everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Your bakeries and your bookstores and your shoe stores or whatever business you own or your blogs or something, and now you're gonna feel it too because AI is hurting you as well and
Mhm.
taking away your business. So yeah, guys, we're all in it together, honestly. It's not like, snooty Hollywood against the world. It's we're all feeling it,
Yeah.
you know?
The truth of it is, to date, AI has yet to create a Oscar-winning film or an Emmy-winning show. You know, it has not created anything that wasn't driven by human input at this point. They say, "Oh, look out, AI is gonna get you," but everything you're still watching and reading and listening to is still generated primarily by humans. Yeah, there's a lot of this, like we said, social media type stuff. There's a lot of these YouTube videos that are all being driven by AI, but that's a lot of these, and I see this so much lately. All of this AI marketing and AI content generation is really, I don't want to say it's not real, because it's real, but I can tell it. When I see it, I can tell it instantly, and I shut it off because I feel like it's just drivel that's being thrown at me because someone was lazy and didn't want to write something substantial that would actually be interesting to me. So they had AI generate it and then regurgitate it, and then, have it do a bunch of stock video footage and
Mhm.
captions over it.
There was something recently at the Game Awards a few weeks ago
Mm,
that apparently, and I don't know because I didn't watch it and I didn't follow this story too much, but something about a game was debuted and it was very obviously AI generated. And people picked up on it right away. There's been a lot of YouTube commentary on it, and people are like, why are you, you know, putting this out there like it's legit, So
mhm,
People people know, people can recognize it. I do worry about younger generations. Like you and I, because we grew up in a time where we didn't even have this stuff, we can recognize it, but, like, a younger person might not be able to tell the difference, and I worry for them. Because, like, all this AI stuff right now, it can parrot, but it cannot create. You know what I mean?
mhm,
It can't critically think, and it can't create, and it can't, um I wonder, has anyone tried to make an AI twist ending? You know what I mean? Like a M. Night
mhm.
Shyamalan type thing? I don't know if it can do that, or if it would, it'd be like a formulaic thing. So, I think the biggest issue besides, like, ethics and rules and all that is making sure you can tell the difference.
It's been kinda quiet now, but last year there was a lot of talk about, AI being used in schools and having to detect AI and in papers and things like that. And it almost becomes another, red flag. Like, how do you go through and create something original and have someone not claim you used AI? At what point do we have to defend ourselves from, like it's like, the plagiarism? You would have to defend yourself, but I'm worried that that's going to happen at some point. I don't think we're anywhere close yet, but just like, that AI game that was at the Game Awards, the creator claimed that it didn't have any AI, but that's kind
That
of
I
like,
don't know. You'd
it's like
have to
trying to
look
prove
that
a
up.
negative kind of thing.
Yeah, I know people recognized it as such, but I don't know if the creator came out and was like, "This is an AI generated game." That you'd have to look up. Because, like I said,
Hmm.
I didn't follow this story too closely. I just saw the headlines and I was like, "Oh, interesting." But I do know people decried it and were like, "This is obviously AI." So he might have been trying to peddle it off as real. I'm just throwing that out there because I don't know that
Yeah.
what you said is factual.
But the question is, when does it be, I don't want to say, crying wolf, so to speak, but that can have a serious impact on an artist if, just like a writer being accused of plagiarism, being accused of using AI could be very damaging. We need tools for, using AI as we need to, but without, while maintaining our creative control of it and be able to, still claim that it's ours. But if these tools are putting AI into the applications that we use to generate content, at what point do we have to, like, is there a way to turn it off? Is there a way to, especially like I use Premiere and I use Photoshop, and they're constantly flashing me, oh, try our new AI tools. You can edit with AI, or you can generate images with AI right in Photoshop. Well, you know, there's that line you're crossing there. It's like it's blurring the line, I guess you could say.
Well, I mean, okay, so Photoshop is a great example. When I was coming up in photojournalism, we were film. Okay, so
Hmm.
that should tell you how old I am. But we were film switching into digital, and we journalism is supposed to be in the moment as you see it or experiencing it. You're not
Hmm.
embellishing, you're not adding in or taking out things. It's as you experienced and see it and like get the
Hmm.
witnesses to talk, right? And we might use Photoshop to if it's like over or underexposed, like you would correct the exposure, or maybe if it's slightly blurry, then you sharpen it just a little bit, but you would never like move a person and put them in a different spot, right?
Hmm.
You would never
Yeah.
add in a person who wasn't there. You wouldn't like bloody up someone and claim that they had been in an accident. You wouldn't do that, right? But
Hmm.
those tools were at your disposal. And actually, I did have a photographer tell me once that he did move somebody and into a spot, and I think he even won an award for it. This is over 20 years ago, and I don't remember his name, so come at me. But like
There's
my
been
point
some
is,
big scandals on about that stuff in like major publications, actually.
yeah, but my point is like these are the things you're not supposed to do. But like, could you argue that even correcting the exposure or sharpening the image is like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, where's your line? Like, I would say, "Oh, yeah, just sharpening it up a little bit or correcting the exposure, that's fine." But no, don't move this person to stand next to that
Right.
person. That's
Changing the
wrong.
content of
You
it.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? But, like, you could argue if you're a super purist that even changing the exposure is bad. That's my
Hmm.
point. Um, but I mean, like I said, I think our generation and maybe a generation behind can recognize it. I don't know that the next generation coming up can because they
Hmm.
have these tools and they can manipulate them and play with them. And you also have to think like if they like those kids who use AI to write school papers and turn them in trying to get away with it. Well, I hate to say at the risk of sounding like an old person, but you're only hurting yourself. You know
Right.
what I mean? You're the one who didn't do the research. You're the one who didn't learn the concept. Guess what? Later on in life, if you want to be a doctor, you can't AI your way through surgery.
Right. Hmm.
Maybe you just have the robot do it for you, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't
Yeah.
always fudge your way out of it.
Yeah. I think this year is going to be a year of we're learning where that line is in creativity. There's so many tools being developed for creatives. Where's the line at what do you draw the line at? I mean, I've used AI for client work. I mean, and they know it. I've told them I've
Mhm.
done it, and
Yeah.
they're usually for things like if I'm working on a report or a study for some client, and they want an image to put with their report that goes on a blog or something. And rather than going to stock imagery and trying to search and find just the right image, you can create like just what they need, So that's a tool that helps the client, and it obviously makes my job a little easier. But it's not like it's I guess it is, taking away. I could call an artist and say, "Can you create this for me?" So I guess it is taking away a job, but I wouldn't call an artist to do that. I would either do the stock photo thing, but still, then that would be going to an artist too.
Mhm.
But my own caveat is a lot of the stuff you see on stock photo sites now says AI generated.
But
It's
you know
almost
what's funny about
impossible to
that?
avoid.
What's funny about that is even if it's AI generated, have you noticed you still have to give credit,
Hmm.
you know? I mean, remember back in the beginning days of Wikipedia, and I remember teachers would be like, "You can't use Wikipedia, it's not a real source." Now it's probably a credible source because they cite their sources. Like,
Hmm.
good Wikipedia articles have, like, tons of source listings at the bottom. I wonder if, maybe that might be something as well for, like, AI art or any sort of data, who's your source for, like,
Yeah.
this thing? That might help because I do think it's funny. I have used for, like, thumbnails on YouTube and stuff like that. It'll be AI generated, and it'll say, "But you have to credit us." And I think that's funny,
Yeah.
you know? You didn't credit where you got it from,
Hmm.
but there you go.
Well, this will be an interesting year, as they always are. They keep getting more and more interesting.
Mhm.
Yes. We're going to learn we're living in the matrix really finally.
Which pill are you gonna take? Let us know in the comments.
I'm going to take the blue pill and stay ignorant. All right. How's your year starting off? We hope you have a good one. Let us know what you think is going to happen this year. What are your predictions for Hollywood and art and creativity? Follow us at WG Therapy on Instagram, X, and Blue Sky. We're on Blue Sky now. And go to writersgrouptherapy.com for all our episodes. Otherwise, we'll see you in a few weeks.